Yeah. Done. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So first is once you are done. Okay. Whatever state of mind we have while quitting the body at death, we attain that state. That's what the law says. Yes, true. The grateful thought one gets for relatives at the time of death are the real essence of life. No, right? The grateful thoughts are very good to be grateful and all these things, but that's not what is going to be used at the time of the death, right? Because uh, that means you are getting overly attached to certain things, right? And that's what happened to him. Overly attachment, and he is taking away the spiritual life. So, in one sense, it is good to have grateful thoughts, but it should be within the realm of spiritual life. Right? It should be within the realm of spiritual life. Right? Okay. C is our mental state during the life brings about positive or negative or spiritual thoughts at death. Yes, that's true. True. So a mental state of life during the about positives and negative situation and spiritual thoughts of the at death. Like whatever we are going through, what did Bharat Maharaj at the time of death was remembering? He was investing so much of time onto his deer, right? And that's what came at the end moment. Right? Somebody like I last time I told you that one old man was admitted to ICU and his BP was rising, and the doctor is saying to the relatives that he is like he's at the verge of death. His BP is rising and rising and rising, and we are not able to control his BP rising, rising. He hears rising. He says, "वधारी गई हो तो बेची ना." मतलब गुजराती में अगर बढ़ रहा है तो बेच बेच डाल पैसा आ जाएगा. So even at the last moment, he just caught up with this, right? So who has invested his life in just stock market so much, what will come at the end is this things, money. Right? If he's invested his life into deer, what will come into the deer, right? So yes, our mental state brings us so many thoughts. Actually, how we live, that's how it come at the death. Okay, D is we get what we are looking for. Sense gratification of Krishna. Make a wise choice. What it has to. So what we are looking for, that will only come at the time of death. So we should be very careful. So A, C, and D are right answers. Okay. If death comes to someone, the very next moment, what body you think they might get based upon what they are attracted to or attached to. Okay. Dash may become, that person may become a dash dash as is always looking forward to sleep more hours. Raise your hands. The dashes. Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, panda beer. Okay. Oh, panda and a beer is different, right? Okay. Okay. So they also sleep a lot? Okay. Anything else? Don't name somebody you are afraid of. Okay, Kumar. So I'm asking specifically in what species and what situations they get. Okay. Let's see. He may be born in dash dash as has a curiosity to know and search for God. Okay. He may be born as a devotee. Okay. Something more? Sorry? Okay. Okay. Sadhu. Okay. Sage. Something more? Actually, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if somebody has a curiosity to know and search for the God, will born in a pious family, in some pious and culture family. So all of you are born in a Bharat Varsha It's a bias and culture family, and that's why you can able to read here come as a Bhagavad Gita classes. Otherwise, there could have been plenty of places around the Bombay where you could have been, right? But you chose to come on Sunday evening, right? So that means you have some curiosity and searching for the God in your previous lives, and that's how those things have been carried forward. That's why you are sitting here, right? Okay. So yes, now you have to think of certain examples that somebody may become dash dash because of dash dash tops. And if you have some example ready, raise your hands. And think of some example at least. Okay, are you ready with some example? Raise your hands. Yeah, you want to say something? Yeah.
Can we become a very rich and want a very rich and healthy family because of the philanthropic thoughts.
Okay, philanthropic thoughts. Okay. Okay.
They become a novel because we want to stay up night.
Good, very good. Good one. Okay. May become an all because of we want to have a late nights. Right? Okay. Somebody else?
They become a spiritual person
Huh?
because of the culture.
Spiritual thoughts? Okay, that's what we discussed also. Because second was that. Okay, something else? Something more? Shriram, you want to say something? Okay. Om? Any example? Any other example? Okay. You want to go up in the air? Yes. Okay. He wants to fly. It has a thought.
He can become a carnivorous animal like tiger if he is a frequent meat eater.
Good. Very good. Very good. What's your name? Rahul. Yeah. Good. Yeah. If he's very much attracted for the meat eating, then he may become like carnivorous animal. Yeah. Okay.
He may also become a prey for the animal.
Okay. That's a karma. Okay. Okay. What else? Good enough for us to understand? Yeah. Okay, we'll move on. Ninth, please. Parents give names like Krishna, Govinda, Radha to their children so that they can remember the Lord always by calling these names. Can you think of other ways to remember the Lord? There are option A, B, C, D. Which one is true?
Other from for party.
Sorry? Mantras. Oh, he's chanting mantras very fast, and others just come for the party. Socializing. Basically, socializing. Party is socializing. Okay? Done? Done? Everyone? All good? Okay. Yeah. So the first one is we could so why the parents and everybody they used to stress upon having a name of their child like correlating with some god or something. This is very important because Ajamil was one case. Ajamil was lost into a jungle and basically he had an extramarital affair and he left his wife and parents and he started staying with this one lady who for it, whom he met in the jungles, and started staying with her. And he had so many children then, and he totally forgot all his spiritual life. But one good thing he did is the youngest son's name he kept is Narayan, and he used to call the Narayan, Narayan, Narayan many times. And at the time of death, at one instance when the Yama Dutas came to take his body, right, take his soul, then that time he chanted Narayan, calling out his son. But actually, Narayan Dutas came and they saved him from the Yamapash, right? So today you chanted this Chauragraganya Ashtakam. Chauragraganya Ashtakam ऊपर chanting किया होगा ना आपने दीप ऑफर करते वक्त. आज किया दीप ऑफर आज आपने 7 बजे दीप ऑफर किया नहीं किया ठीक है. तो उसमें चौराग्रगण्य अष्टकम व्हाट इट सेज यमपाश बंधम he will steal the yamapash bandham which is taking you at a yamraj. He can steal that. He is the greatest stealer. If somebody says who is the greatest thief, the greatest thief is the Lord Shri Krishna. He's not just a makhan chor, but he steals away what is that song? Raje prasidham namanita choram Upangananam Chadukula Choram. Yeah, I just lost that. So what he says is actually he can steal away the so many of birds our accumulated sin. It can steal away that. That's a lot, right? He can steal away all the sufferings of ours, right? That's the greatest of it, right? So that's important. So what I was saying here, what's the point I was going? Okay, so that's why Ajamil actually when he chanted, he was actually saved from the Yamapash Bandhan. Okay, so parents give the names like this so that they can remember the Supreme Lord. So the first, we could regularly visit the temple of the Lord and take darshan and remember his beautiful form. Yes, you take those pictures, you put it on desktops or somewhere, right? Second is visiting different holy places like Chardham Yatras help us to get a chance for sightseeing. For Chardham, do you go for the sightseeing?
It's a false.
The falls, right? Many people they go for Chardham Yatra as an adventure,
Yeah.
as I take a selfies and show them I went to such a peaks. बद्रीनाथ केदारनाथ साइड में मतलब वो तो दिखाना है पर वो ये दिखाना है कि मैं गया था दूसरों को दिखाना है कि मैं गया था right rather than actually doing something spiritual they just want to accumulate some socializing points right through Insta and selfies and these things and that thing right so it's actually wrong we don't go for the sightseeing there see we can study his qualities and pastimes from the scriptures and meditate on them yes studying from the scriptures is important true D. Go to the ceremonies where Pandit is chanting mantras. So there are some rituals, right? आपके घर में होता है कभी भी? वो ritual लगाते हैं वहाँ पे कुछ तो एक पूजा किया है and you call upon all your relatives and neighbors and everybody and they come. Puja is going on in the corner. Pandit is chanting some mantras. Nobody understands. They just fold their hands and they come back and sit in the corner and they say, तुम्हारे बहू का क्या चल रहा है? तुम्हारा लड़का वो क्या कर रहा है? And they do all kind of socializing in the name of some spiritual events. Does that make sense? So this is also wrong. This very wrong idea that to do some rituals for the sake of doing it without actually understanding how the spiritual life is affecting us. How any of these rituals should elevate our consciousness, right? And not just carrying out the rituals for the sake of doing it. So the correct answers are A and C. Now what happened to the King Bharata? He remembered deer. So he became deer. Right. So he could he was remembering the deer and that's how his body became. He could take up the body of a deer. Right. So most of the living entities they don't remember their past. Nobody remembers their past. Hardly anybody remembers the past, right? But he could remember all his past, King Bharata. In his dear body, he could remember all his past, what happened, and what was that mistake I committed, right? How I was attached to that deer, and that's how I have to come into the deer body. He could remember exactly that. That was a God's grace on him, that he could remember all his past, right? So he says, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, by the virtue of divine consciousness of the previous life, one will automatically get attracted to the, on the credit of that, he will automatically get attracted to the spiritual life. So this deer was a special deer, right? It was not any ordinary deer. Can somebody read out this? Abhijit, can you read out this?
What a fool was, what a fool I was. I have never forgotten you for me. Indeed.
Okay.
What a fool I was. I have fallen from the path of self-realization. I gave up my family and kingdom, went to a solitary holy place in the forest to meditate, where I always contemplated on the Lord and the universe, but due to
Just so he went to the Pulashra ashram to contemplate upon the Supreme Lord, right? Giving upon his dear and near ones, wife and children, and so much palatial servants and so much of wealth. But
due to some of my foolishness, I let my mind become attached to all of the
of
things.
all the things,
A deer, and now I have just received such a body. No one is blamed but myself.
yes. So whom to blame? It's actually because of myself that I have achieved this, right? So see, there's one principle. Bhagavad Gita it says, Neha Vikramana Shosti Pratyavayana Vidyate Swalpampi Asya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. So if you are doing some simple advancement in a spiritual life, right? Even some divine, some divinity you are carrying, some spiritual consciousness you are carrying. What happens? Spiritual activity you are doing. What happens? That activity is carried forward in your next life, right? So, and that can save you from the greatest danger. King Bharata, most of his life, he lived in the spiritual life. So, see, I will tell you an example. The spiritual endeavors are never destroyed. Material endeavors, let's say, let's say, what you have done in which career you are into? Hotel management. Okay. So you have done which course? Like bachelor's in? Okay. He has done a bachelor's in hospitality. Okay. Now in the next life, do you start in the post graduation in hospitality? You have to again start with what? A, B, C, D, right? Yes. So the material endeavors, can they be carried forward? Unless it reaches to the success, it cannot be carried forward, right? Isn't it? Let's say you are building a tower, big tower, right? बस पूरा columns वगैरह बना दिया, columns and columns and columns and what are those called? It is not an Excel sheet. Beams, columns and beams, the structure is ready, right? And you have put the slabs, but the wall is not yet, wall work is not started. Okay, and you have to stop it. Will that be of any use? Unless it reaches to its finish, will that be of use? Any material endeavors, if it not reaches to the finish, it is of no use. But spiritual endeavors are not like that. Even if somebody is not reached to the finish line, but this, wherever he was, it can be carried forward into this next line, right? That's what it is. So the Bharat Maharaj has already lived such a wonderful spiritual life. That's why Lord Shri Krishna gave all his memory back. Whatever the he learned from the great sages and scriptures, that all memory, that deer, even in the deer body, he could get that. That was the greatest benefit could have. So what did that deer do? That deer, he he had a one birthplace, somewhere he was born. But he left that birthplace and went to the again Pulashra into the Himalayas, Pulashra right? He was not attached to his birthplace because he knew just a small attachment, last time he has to pay so much. Then he started doing austerity, tapa. What is tapa? He didn't eat the green grasses, but he was just eating the dry grasses. Austerity, tapa, right? So tapa is essential. Tapasya is essential. Right? Now tell me, if anybody who is working into some company, he has to slog hard, right? If any of you have some professional experience, right? He has to slog hard, right? Whichever industry you are, you have to slog hard so much. That means what? Morning, even though you don't want to, but you have to get up, get ready, catch up, fast local, reach, right? ऐसे लटकते जाओ और फिर वापस बॉस का सुनो, डांट भी खाओ, राइट? और काम करके दो, डेडलाइन है तो रात तक रुको, हाँ, काम फिनिश करके फिर वापस आओ घर पे, राइट? So people say I love my work. Yeah, you may love your work, but why do you wait for then Saturdays and Sundays? Why are you waiting for? You're looking for a break, right? So we become so tiresome. So they are also doing lot of austerity, tapasya, right? For what? As the month end comes, the job is not so bad. My boss is not so bad because of some figures are credited to my account, right? He's not so bad. Sure. So everybody is doing some austerity, some tapasya everybody is doing. Somebody is in a local tent and somebody is in the Himalayas. They don't want to be, they want to be aloof from everybody. Those called as jnanis or karmis. But devotees are not like that. Devotee carry out the tapasya in such a way so that he can elevate his Krishna consciousness. Right? Elevate his Krishna consciousness. That's a tapasya. Tapasya is, we'll check that. Ahead something will come. So he started taking the dry grasses only. And what happens? He was lamenting over his past. He was like having the tears into his eyes that why did I neglected the supreme occupation of anybody is to love and serve the Supreme Lord. But I have neglected that in my last stages of my life. Right? So he was lamenting over it and was having the tears into his eyes. So repentance is important. Repentance is very important, you know. But just a repentance, you know, छाती ठोक ठोक के repentance करना and not doing any action doesn't make sense. So he was doing his action. What did he do further? He was actually in the Pulashra ashram. He was hiding behind the bushes and hearing those great sages talking about the spiritual law, spirituality and scriptures and Supreme Lord. He was hearing that pravachans. He was hearing about the glories of the Supreme Lord, prayers of the offered to the Supreme Lord. He was hearing from the bushes, right? So even in the dear body, he was taking the association of that great sages and devotees, right? So these are the things he was doing it. I said even in the deer's body, because he wanted to be very careful. He already burned his finger, so he was wanted to be very careful. So he was actually a saintly deer. Whether somebody is in the body of a human or a deer, right? What makes a highlighted point is whether that person is godly or saintly or not, right? That's more important. If somebody is not godly and saintly, even though he is in a human form of life, he's as good as an animal, right? Okay. So because of the Lord's blessings, he could carry forward his wonderful life and taking association and wedding. What happened next is, as the time passed by, his death arose. And he understood now my death is arising. He started remembering and calling out the Supreme Lord. He started offering prayers to the Supreme Lord as he was about to leave his body. Right at the time of the death, Bharata was leaving the body of a deer. He loudly uttered the prayers, "The Supreme Lord, please engage me in your loving service, O Lord." Right? Questions. Question number 10. What did Bharata lament about after occupying the body of a deer? Himanshu. Yeah, Himanshu. The first one. He lamented that he lost the deer whom he considered the more than his life itself. Of course not, right? He wasn't lamenting for that lost deer. B. He lamented that he went to the forest, leaving behind his wife, children, and kingdom. ऐसा है ना, वाइफ और चिल्ड्रंस को भी छोड़ दिया और वो डियर को भी छोड़ दिया, क्या हाथ में आया? ना भगवान आए ना वो आए, उनको छोड़ दिया और भगवान को भी नहीं मिल पाया. So that's not the point. Okay. So he lamented that he went to the forest to attain the Lord, but ended up getting a deer body. Yes, he lamented for that. He lamented that he forgot the goal for which he had gone to the forest, leaving the kingdom. True. Actually, he left everything to concentrate on the Supreme Lord at the back end of his life. Right? So the correct answers are C and D. Yeah. Okay. 11. After occupying the body of a deer, how do you know that Bharata was serious about going back to Godhead? What does the deer do by which we understand he was serious about the spiritual life? What did he do by which we understand he was serious about the spiritual life? He didn't neglect his spiritual life. A, B, C, D. Okay, you please write down answers. Answer it. Question, quiz number 11. Done? Okay, take your time. Sorry, was in meeting. Done? Sumit, na? Vishal, okay. Done? Okay, first thing is, I flanked myself with the boys with the good habits, pious disposition, and focused in academic or career. That's true? Yes. With the good habits, pious disposition, and focused in academics and career. That means they are doing their material duty very well, job or career very well. At the same time, they are focusing on the good habits to cultivate and spiritual life, pious disposition. So both should go on parallelly, right? Second is, I can't stay how long will I survive in a spiritual life, as this world is a dangerous place of Maya. Huh? Wrong, right? So you cannot be losing out so early to the Maya, right? Give a fight at least. Struggle. C is I avoid the boys who break the regulative principles and drag their friends in such a lower habits. True. I want to avoid those, right? I never miss my weekly Bhagavad Gita class where I get my batteries charged. So you have to make a point that you come regularly for the weekly class, right? So these classes will give us, see, somebody may say, okay, I'm so busy, what will these classes will fetch me or something. I'll tell you the story. A carpenter who goes into the cutting the trees in the jungle. And our first day, he was like, very determined and very having a good willpower and everything. Then I will cut 5 trees. I will cut 10 trees, but he could cut only 5. He says, okay, he resolves again. Next day, I will cut more than 5 at least. So he goes, but cut only 3.5. Next day, he said, no, I will. He says, no, I will do it. And next day, he cuts only two. Why? No, the point was, he's not giving any time to sharpening his axe. If he takes out some time, how much it will take? Half an hour, right? Half an hour to sharpen his axe or 1 hour to sharpen his axe. But he can efficiently perform his work then. That's what we can do all our duties perfectly well, whether it is an academics, career, a job, or anything, perfectly well if we sharpen our axe. We follow the scriptures advice. When we adopt the scriptures in our life, then we get a proper direction in our life. Otherwise, we'll remain vague. Right? We should take out some time to build upon our personality. Right? Whatever the busy schedule may be, but don't forget to attend such a classes, such a association, right? Okay. So temple is not a just a sightseeing place. हाँ आ गए अभी अभी हमारे यहाँ पे बहुत सारा साइट सीइंग होता है वहां पे ना सामने वो पोर्च में बैठ के बहुत सारे लोग सेल्फीज निकालते हैं निकालो बट आयो किसके लिए है यहाँ पे वो भी थोड़ा देख लो फोटोग्राफ निकाला है जो भी करना है कर लो राइट बट इफ यू आर कमिंग हियर do some spiritual activities, right? Take some knowledge. This is a university. This is a university. Temple is a university. If you go to any college, very big in college, like let's say, you know, in a engineering, MIT USA, like the college. So if you have got a chance to go to MIT, will you just click the photographs of gardens, the buildings? No, you will like to talk to the people there. You like to experience what the life there is, the researchers and scientists, what they're doing there, right? That's what. If you're coming to the temple, there's a university, spiritual university, where you should ask and inquire about the spiritual topics, that how my spiritual consciousness be elevated, how I advance in my spiritual life. That should be asked, right? So yes, we should come for that. That should be our main purpose. Okay. So the answers are A, C, and D. Okay. Now what happens to Bharata? Bharata, as now dear, he left his body. What he's born in his next life is Jada Bharata. He's born as a Jada Bharata. Why it is called a Jada? I'll tell you. Okay. In his next life, King Bharata took birth in the family of a pure saintly Brahmana priest and was known as a Jada Bharata. By Lord's mercy, he could remember again all his past lives of King Bharata and the dear Bharata, and now Jada Bharata is going. Now he is because at the end of his dear body, he actually was very much repentant about what the mistake he had committed earlier, and he was now taking association of devotees and doing tapasya. And at the end, he prayed to the Supreme Lord, and that's why he was born in a pious family. Right? He was born in a pious family, a Brahmana family, where he could lead his life purely. Right? He could remember, and at the same time, he could remember the previous two lives. So he was very careful now to not to intermingle with anything which will hamper his life now, right? जैसा वो यूएस वीजा के लिए ना 3 chances रहता है 3 chances के बाद खत्म, right? So now is the third chance. He says, no way I want to go back again to any of the species, right? Was very alert, right? And that's how we all should be. We should be very alert. We carry on our whatever the material life is, career, whatever the professional life you want to pursue. Have a good ambitions. There's nothing wrong to have good ambitions. At the same time, carry on your spiritual life. Don't risk your spiritual life for some other's sake. For some petty sex, for some few pennies. Don't risk your spiritual life, right? So see that your spiritual life goes very well. Right? So now he was very alert about it, and that's why he purposefully he was tricking the people. He started behaving he's like a dumb and dull. Why? Because he didn't want to engage into the useless talk that people are talking about. Because he has not forgotten his past, what he has gone through. So he was absorbed into the Supreme Lord, but at the same time, aloof. from all those nonsensical discussions, right? So that's why his name was Jada. Jada matlab, huh? नहीं, Jada matlab rude नहीं. That's a Hindi Jad. Jada is in the sense, heavy, or Jada is in the sense somebody who is a dumb and dull is called as Jada. कितना जड़ है तुम? Jada in the sense who is like what can I say? Hindi में is क्या मेरा एकदम डल है, गधा गधा नहीं, डल है. वो कुछ भी बोलो कुछ करता ही नहीं है, right? Dull, dumb and dull. He was behaving like that so that he remained aloof from everybody, and he was mistreated by his brothers, right? So they used to give him a burnt food, and he was just tolerating it. He didn't mind. He was just tolerating it. And people, as the people were talking useless worldly talks, he wanted to be aloof from them. Like, I remember one of my friends, he was saying that he went in the train. He was a Tamil, and in that train there were few Tamilians, and they were there talking. But he was not very careful because they were talking something nonsense, something worldly talk, something, So if he opens up to them that I am also Tamil, then what will happen? They will start all those things, right? And he was very careful. He says, okay, I'm not going to speak to them. I don't want to just engage into this. And just reading his scriptures, and he just continued, right? At the last, when the station was just come, the last 5 minutes, he just inquired to them, okay, I'm also Tamil, where you're from, okay. Then there is oh, you're in Chennai, okay, Chennai, there is a wonderful temple, ISKCON temple, can you go there? You can read Bhagavad Gita, this is that. Otherwise, what happens? You start speaking to them, they download so many things on you, right? It's better that you just engage the talk which is useful and required. Right? Many times people get into the unnecessary things, and that eat up their mental space, right? So, but within himself, he was always be thinking of the Lord and remembering the glories of the Supreme Lord. Uh, that alone is a simplest formula for us to save from the birth and death. Okay. So what happens to Jada Bharata? We'll talk it in our next class, next session. So we are like our sessions are going as we are seeing the each and every birth. First we saw in the first session King Bharatas. Today we saw Dear Bharat, and our next session we'll see what happens to the Jada Bharat. Okay, that also story is very interesting. Okay. Any questions? Opening up for any questions? All good? All good? Anybody? Any questions? For sure. Okay. So I will ask the questions then. Shall I? Okay. We'll have some kirtan for some time, and then we'll go for break for the prasad. Okay. And I will disclose these marks on the WhatsApp group because I need to tally what all the answers we have given. Okay. So we'll start.